What is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or The Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing some ADP risers and fallers over the last 2 weeks. Inside today's video, I'll begin by going in depth into some ADP risers, players that are moving up the draft board, and then about halfway into the video, we're going to be pivoting into some players that are falling down right now in the draft based upon their current ADPs. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into my ADP risers and fallers over the last 2 weeks. So we'll begin with the risers, starting with Cameron Brate, tight end of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. His current ADP is pick 169.6. His old ADP was pick 212.5, meaning that his ADP moved 42.9 spots. Now, the reason why Cameron Brate's ADP has risen, why he's getting drafted significantly higher in drafts, he was basically going undrafted prior to this news, is because Rob Gronkowski, the #1 tight end of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, has retired. Now, in my opinion, based upon what I have read about this situation, I would not be shocked at all if Rob Gronkowski returned a couple of weeks into the season. His agent's talking about how if Tom Brady just calls him up, then he's going to return to the team, basically. So I think right now, at pick 169.6, you are perfectly fine taking Cameron Brate in a fantasy football draft, in a best ball draft. But what you have to understand is that there is still at least some chance that Rob Gronkowski does end up returning this season. The team does have some other tight ends on the team. They've got Cade Otton as well, who some people might just take a super late round flyer on in really deep drafts. But at the end of the day, I think Cameron Brate will be the #1 tight end in terms of targets on the team if Rob Gronkowski stays retired for the whole season. OJ Howard goes to the Buffalo Bills, so it really is just Cameron Brate. So while I think that Rob Gronkowski could return, and I think he probably will end up coming back a couple of weeks into the season, I still think it is fine to draft Cameron Brate. But if you're doing best ball drafts right now, I wouldn't get very heavy on my exposure of Cameron Brate, because like I said, there's probably still a pretty strong chance that Rob Gronkowski does return. Last year, Cameron Brate with Rob Gronkowski with OJ Howard played in 17 games, finishing as the tight end number 28.5 PPR and the tight end number 39.5 PPR points per game, tied with Ryan Griffin. He had 57 targets, 3.4 per game, ranking 24th at tight end. He had 30 receptions, 1.8 per game, ranking 30th, 245 receiving yards, 14.4 per game, 38th, and 4 total touchdowns, 12th at tight end. So his stats aren't amazing, obviously, but it makes perfect sense, right? When you have this generational fucking tight end on your team in Rob Gronkowski, when he's healthy, he's going to be the #1 guy. But Brate did fill in at points of the season and played all right. So again, I'm not super excited about Cameron Brate. I'm fine drafting him right now. But let me know down below in the comment section, do you guys think Gronk is going to return? Because I feel like right now, while he has quote-unquote retired, maybe he's just saying, fuck it, I don't want to practice, I don't want to do all this preseason stuff. You know, I'll just suit up 4 weeks into the season and then score 1 million touchdowns. That's probably what Gronk is thinking. So in my opinion, I think there's still a very good chance that Rob Gronkowski ends up returning. Next up, we'll move to Mark Ingram, running back of the New Orleans Saints. Current ADP, pick 188.9. His old ADP was pick 211.8, meaning that his ADP has changed 22.9 slots over the last 2 weeks. So with Mark Ingram, the reason why his ADP, he's moving up in drafts, is because of the news surrounding around the other running back on the team, Alvin Kamara. Now, it appears that Alvin Kamara's team, based upon what we have read, so his agent, him, they're preparing for a 6-game suspension. That's what they're bracing for. They think that's possible. Now, if the league, Roger Goodell, says it's 6 games for what happened around the Pro Bowl, he could negotiate with them and maybe get it knocked down to 3 or 4 games. So in my opinion, I think it's highly unlikely that Alvin Kamara actually serves a 6-game suspension in 2022. I think it's going to be closer to 3 or 4 games. So even missing 3 or 4 games gives a humongous boost to Mark Ingram, especially for people in best ball drafts and redraft leagues who are looking to fade the running back position early. Because if you fade the running back position early and you draft Mark Ingram with one of your last picks, you can play Mark Ingram for the first 3-4 games, assuming he will be the number one lead running back on the team without Alvin Kamara. And while I understand last year when Mark Ingram was kind of filling in for Alvin Kamara, he wasn't amazing, but now they're going to have Jameis Winston. They're not going to have Taysom Hill, fucking Ian Book, right? This is going to be the real deal. Again, I don't think Jameis Winston is the best quarterback in the NFL, but Jameis Winston is significantly better at playing quarterback than those other two. So I think Mark Ingram will be kind of jolted into a very good spot in this offense for the first couple of weeks. Now, after that, he's basically irrelevant. He's basically useless because Alvin Kamara is one of the key focal points in this offense. But the reason why I'm drafting Mark Ingram is not because what I believe he's going to do in week 10, 11. It's what I believe he is going to do for those couple of weeks when Alvin Kamara is suspended. If it comes out that he is genuinely suspended for 6 games, if Kamara is suspended for 6 games, Mark Ingram's ADP is going to fucking skyrocket. It has already moved 22.9 points. I think he can move up into maybe the 12th or 13th round, maybe even higher into the 10th round because of the immense amount of upside he will have in those games. I think this New Orleans Saints team, even though they lost head coach Sean Payton, I still believe they are going to be relatively strong offensively. And while Mark Ingram's kind of getting up there in age, he's not the lead running back he used to be in the past. I think he's a great fill-in option for the Saints, and if he is given this opportunity, I think he will play quite well. Last year was the running back 50 in half PPR, 54 in half PPR points per game, tied with big boy Mike Davis. He had 160 carries, 11.4 per game, ranking 27th. At the running back position, 554 rushing yards, 39.6 per game, ranking 41st. 35 targets, 2.5 per game, 27th. 162 receiving yards, 50th, and 2 total touchdowns, 61st. Again, those stats are not going to make your eyes ejaculate all over your screen. What's going to make that happen is if you truly believe, like me, that if Alvin Kamara is suspended, which it seems like is a lock, again, the length of time is not a lock, but it seems like he's going to get suspended, then I personally believe Mark Ingram will be the guy in the offense, and I think this is going to help out Mark Ingram a ton, and I love his value right now. I think if you are doing best ball drafts right now, you should be spamming the draft button on Mark Ingram late in draft because his ADP is going to rise significantly, in my opinion, even if it does end up being only a 3 or 4 game suspension, because for those 3 or 4 games, he is very useful and does have top 10 potential in those weeks. Before we move on into the ADP fallers, I would like to give you guys a quick word from our friends and our sponsor of today's video, and that is going to be Underdog Fantasy, which is the best place to play fantasy football this summer. The Best Ball Mania 3 tournament has $10 million in total prize money. All you got to do is draft your team, and that's it. My favorite part about fantasy football is the draft. And now you don't have to worry about the waivers. You don't have to worry about calling up your friend while he's at work and being like, hey, can we try to make this trade? You don't need to do that anymore because guess what, on Underdog, there's no trades. There's no waivers. There's not even in-season management. You don't even have to set your lineup. Underdog will automatically give you the best score every single week of the season, so you don't even have to worry about it. You can set it. You can draft your team in June, July. Well, today, technically, it's July, but you can draft your team in July and then come back in January and see, wow, I want a lot of money, or you can go ahead and just watch your team throughout the year. You can do it either way. And last year's Best Ball Mania champion drafted in June. So there's really no need to wait. You can draft in July. Make sure you guys are drafting today. Use promo code AWESEMO, AWESEMO, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100, which is good for 4 entries into the Best Ball Mania 3 tournament with $2 million for the first place prize. Head on over to UnderdogFantasy.com or in the App Store, or just click on the link in the video description down below and sign up using promo code AWESEMO, AWESEMO today. Now we'll move on back into the video, moving into the ADP fallers. My first of 2 ADP fallers is going to be Amari Cooper, wide receiver of the Cleveland Browns. Current ADP pick 63.4. His old ADP was about 10 spots earlier at pick 55.2 and 8.2 ADP change. Last year in Dallas with the Cowboys, Cooper played in 15 games, finishing as the wide receiver 27 in half PPR, as well as wide receiver 27 in half PPR points per game, tied with Mr. Wiki DJ Moore. 103 targets on the season, 6.9 per game. Very nice. I like. Number 32 wide receiver, 68 receptions, one off of being very nice, 4.5 per game, 30th, 865 receiving yards, 57.7 per game, 30th, and 8 total tugs, 13th at the wide receiver position. So he goes from Dallas, where he's the 1A compared to the CeeDee Lamb 1B. Now he is the clear numero uno, the head honcho, alpha dog wide receiver in Cleveland. But the reason why his ADP is falling is because it seems like Deshaun Watson is going to be getting the indefinite suspension, probably lasting over a season. Now, there's still a chance that maybe the league goes a little soft on Watson and he gets 10 games, 8 games. Right now, my projection is that he is going to miss the whole season. That is my guess, and that is what I am going to assume based upon everything that I have read. But again, until things are set in stone, there is still a chance Watson plays this season. And at his old price of 55.2, that seemed very early for a wide receiver whose starting quarterback isn't even going to be Baker Mayfield. But Nick, Baker Mayfield struggled last year. I understand, right? He didn't look great last year, but Baker Mayfield is miles ahead of what Jacoby Brissett is. Jacoby Brissett doesn't suck, right? He's not some complete and utter fucking garbage can quarterback. But, like, if you have Amari Cooper, you definitely want Deshaun Watson to be the quarterback. So, with Amari Cooper, it really has nothing to do. It has nothing to do at all with him. I understand he didn't have a great year in 2021 with Dallas, but it is what it is, right? He doesn't have this great season, but everything attributing to his fall in ADP is Deshaun Watson. Again, if Watson plays 8 games, then I am so excited to draft Amari Cooper. But if it's going to be Jacoby Brissett all season, then I'm probably staying away from Amari Cooper even at his new ADP at 63.4. If he continues to fall, though, there's eventually going to be a point where it's like, this is just too far for a wide receiver with the skill set of Amari Cooper and with a quarterback who isn't that bad, right? I definitely don't want Jacoby Brissett to be the quarterback, but when push comes to shove, things could definitely be worse than Mr. Jacoby B. Final player to discuss in today's video is Chris Godwin, wide receiver of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, current ADP pick 54.1. His old ADP is 60.1, a 6 ADP change. Early reports, based upon what I've seen the last couple of weeks, are showing that it is entirely possible that Mr. Chris Godwin opens the season on the reserve/PUP list. He tore his ACL in week number 15, so it seems unlikely that he will be starting in week number 1. If they throw him on the reserve/PUP list, that means he will miss a minimum of the first 4 games of the season. And when I say minimum, I mean, I know you guys know what the fuck the dictionary is. I know you guys know what minimum means, but he could be missing maybe 5, 6, 7 games. So that's making people panic. Now, again, we're talking in July. As we get closer to the start of the season in August, early September, maybe when you guys are doing your fantasy football redraft leagues, then maybe we have a crystal clear idea of when Chris Godwin is going to be returning to the field and when Chris Godwin is going to be good to go 100%. In my opinion, even though they don't have Gronk, I believe the team is going to hold out Chris Godwin until he is 100%. There is no reason with the division they're in, with the skill set of this team, that they're going to throw Chris Godwin out there at 75%, at 80%, at 90%. They don't have Antonio Brown. It doesn't fucking matter. They're bringing Russell Gage. The team's going to be just fine. They will coast through the first 5, 6 games of the season if Godwin misses that many games. The most important thing for the team is his health. On different teams, Chris Godwin might get catapulted out there in week 3. If the team believed he was 90% healthy, they might catapult him out there. But with the Bucs, with a team that is this good, there is no reason to risk the chance of injury with Chris Godwin. So my personal belief is he's probably going to miss at least 4 games being put on the PUP list, tearing your ACL in week 15. Now, again, this isn't the 1980s. The modern medicine is very good. So he's going to be perfectly fine once he returns. But just don't be super excited about him potentially playing week 1 because I think that is out of the picture at this point. I understand he's going to be missing a bunch of games, but at his ADP, if you go heavy on wide receiver and you can just fill that spot, once Chris Godwin returns, he has top 5 wide receiver potential, so I'm still fine drafting him where his ADP is. In 2021, playing in 14 games, he finishes as the wide receiver 17.5 PPR, finishing as the wide receiver 9.5 PPR points per game, tied with Stephon Diggs and Mr. Deontay Johnson. He had 128 targets, 9.1 per game, 17th at wide receiver, 98 receptions, 7.0 per game, 10th, 1,103 receiving yards, 78.8 per game, 13th, and 6 total touchdowns, 20th at the wide receiver position. So again, once Chris Godwin returns, I have full confidence that this guy is going to dominate the landscape of fantasy football. They have Mike Evans. They have Russell Gage. Maybe they even have Gronk back by the time Chris Godwin returns, but I'm still confident in this offense. I'm confident in Tom Brady, and I think Chris Godwin will be just fine once he returns. Again, based upon your team construction, you may want to fade Godwin if you went robust running back early. If you're smacking off those running backs the first 3 picks, then you probably want to fade Godwin because you're going to need Godwin more than someone who drafts, say, 2 receivers early, then goes 2 running backs, then wants to draft a guy like Chris Godwin. So let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think about all these players: Cameron Brate, Mock Ingram, Amari Cooper, and Chris Godwin. Let me know down below in the comment section. I love reading the comments. I always try to reply. Hope you guys have a great rest of your guys' day. Please make sure you check out promo code AWESEMO on Underdog, AWESEMO, and get that $100 first match deposit bonus. I love all of you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good boy.